Good morning to all of you. I am Narendra Joshi. I'm from HRS Process Systems Limited. We are basically into heat exchangers and heat exchanger based systems. We make corrugated tube heat exchangers, we make plate type heat exchangers, we are also making heat exchanger based systems for generating hot water and at a precise temperature that you want. We have our manufacturing facility at Koregaon, Bhima, Pune. We have a covered area of 60,000 square feet and we manufacture almost about 300 shell and tube heat exchangers per month and about 100 PHEs per month. HRS is basically a UK-based company and we have a presence all over the world. Our core technology is corrugated tube heat exchanger. So in place of smooth tube, we are using corrugated tubes, which give you a definite advantage as regards the heat transfer coefficient, reduction in heat transfer area, and reduction in, of course, your maintenance time. As I told you, we have presence in UK. Then in Spain, we have our R&D center wherein we develop our tubes, corrugated tubes. Then we have office in USA, New Zealand, Australia, and Malaysia. The basic advantage for the corrugated tube heat exchanger is it enhances the heat transfer coefficient, and then we are also doing it. We have a well-equipped manufacturing facility. We have ISO 9000 certification. We have ASME U stamp certification also for heat exchangers, and we are rated as one of the stable financial company in India. Most of our clients are from pharma, chemical, agrochemical, cement, petrochemical. Our product range is, as I told you, is corrugated tube heat exchangers, plate type heat exchangers, heat exchanger based systems. In corrugated tube heat exchangers, we manufacture the heat exchangers as per all TEMA standards. We also have ASME U stamp certification for our heat exchangers. The main advantage for corrugated tube heat exchanger is basically it's basically manufactured by doing the indentations on the tube, and then it enhances it enhances the heat transfer coefficient as I told you, and the helical pattern in which this flow takes place. So it offers eddy currents and it induces a turbulence so that the zero boundary velocity across the tube is reduced. So that is the main advantage of this. And even at lower velocities, you are getting high Reynolds number. That is the another advantage for this technology. Especially in case of condensation, as you see here, the condensate droplets, when they form, they get accumulated on the tube surface, and until the condensates gain a film and the film gains a weight, the condensate will not fall down. But because of this corrugation pattern, what happens is the droplets, they get a path for flowing down. So you have a continuous area of the tube exposed for further condensation. So this reduces your requirement of heat transfer area. So heat exchanger is continuously taking place in that. And almost the heat transfer area is reduced to 50%. So it is the main advantage here. We have different type of corrugations offered by us on the tubes. These are hard corrugation, soft corrugation, and dimpled corrugation. Mostly the dimpled corrugations are used in food and beverage application. But depending on your pressure drop requirement, we can use a hard and soft corrugation pattern on the tube. It is basically this is developed to increase the heat transfer coefficient, as I told you, and we overcome the other disadvantages which are there in smooth tube heat exchangers. Basically, the difficulty in cleaning, then low running reliability, unpredictable characteristics, difficult to design, manufacture, and replace service, and increased resistance to fluid, which is again a flow increased pressure loss. So even at higher viscosity also, because of the turbulence you get low heat transfer area in this. Models that we offer here is our K series, which are generally used in all industrial applications, which are manufactured as per TIMA standards. The K series introduces basically the all industrial type heat exchangers. Here, as you see in the animated image, this is a multi-tube heat exchanger, a regular heat exchanger, but in place of plain tubes, we are using corrugated tubes here. This is an MI series generally used in food and beverage applications. Here we can have the corrugation on the shell also, but the size limitation for corrugation is 6 inches or up to 6 inches diameter. We can make the corrugations on this MI series. DT series is again a typically tube in tube or double tube heat exchanger, which are normally used in industries. But here also we can have corrugated both tubes, inner and outer tube corrugated heat exchangers. AS series or triple tube series is basically 3 tubes, one in other, and we can have basically the utility on two sides and process fluid in one side, so it gives double advantage in terms of heat transfer coefficient. We make tube heat exchangers in all materials. It's like stainless steel, carbon steel, halar coated, plus exotic material also. We can manufacture that in titanium, Astaloy C276, Astaloy C22, 904L. So we are making almost all exotic material. We have done it in tantalum also. Advantage, as I told you, is the reduction in heat transfer area is almost to about 50%, so it becomes very compact in size. And the distribution, heat transfer distribution takes uniform across the corrugated tube. As in plain tube, you see at the walls of the tube, the heat transfer coefficient or the heat transfer gets reduced. But in corrugation, because of the turbulence pattern, the uniform heat transfer takes place. So you will have definite advantage in corrugated tube. Then uniform thermal processing, reduced fouling because of the turbulence. Then high response to CIP cleaning at low velocity, because in CIP you need to maintain certain velocity in order to get the tubes clean. But here at lower velocity also you can clean the tubes. So that is again a high response for CIP. Applications, we are supplying it to almost all industry sectors like pharmaceutical, distillery power, rubber, chemical, oil, paint, agrochemical. Every sector we are using it. The other product that we have is with smooth tube heat exchangers also. We are also making it in smooth tube in different material of constructions. And then we have plate heat exchanger. Herein we have a tie-up with a German company. It's called Funke Heat Exchanger. We are importing the plates and gaskets from Germany. We are assembling, we are designing it here, and we are offering services to customers all across the India and neighboring countries also for their heat exchangers. Plate heat exchangers basically can be in multi-pass or single-pass design whenever as per the application requirements. Plate material offered by us is SS316, 304, titanium, SMO254, nickel 200, Astaloy C276. Gasket materials are used NBR, EPDM, Viton, which can withstand a temperature up to 170 degrees Celsius. The main advantage of Funke technology is basically the pressing pattern. We have a typical pressing pattern wherein we can have different gaps between the corrugations. Then we have offset embossing flow pattern also in our pressing. So you get different gaps on both sides. So it depends on what kind of fluid you are using. So you can make heat exchangers for different material also with different viscosity and different flow rates also. The offset pattern is basically a little wide pressing on one side and narrow pressing on the other side. So when a combination is done for different type of plates, you get different gaps between the plates flow pattern, not like a typical sinusoidal wave pattern which you normally get in plate type heat exchangers of many manufacturers. So here then, as you see, you can have large gap and you can also have small gaps. So optimum utilization of pressure drop and optimum design of heat exchanger can happen with these pressing arrangement. So that's the advantage. And because of this, you also get highly efficient heat transfer coefficient. Our heat exchangers offer almost about 17 to 18% less heat transfer area compared to our other manufacturers. We are also making brace type heat exchangers. We typically have two series in this. A TPL series is basically used for all hydraulic oil applications, wherein we have turbulators placed in between the plates, which enhance the turbulence across the flow, and that reduces the area almost to the extent of 1/6 that compared to others. So it can be a machine mounted unit, basically used for all hydraulic oil applications. And then the GPL series is a typical series which is used in the refrigeration application as a evaporator or condenser. So we also have brazed heat exchangers in our product portfolio. Apart from that, we are also building a skid-based hot water manufacturing system wherein we make use of plate type heat exchanger or shell and tube type heat exchangers, and we, along with all the accessories like steam control valve or pump in trap and then control panel, and using various kind of things, you can have a precise temperature that you want, which is being used in process. So we generate a hot water at absolute precise temperature that you want it. So we are offering this kit. We are supplying many heat exchangers to many industries. It's a typical condenser for a chemical industry, which is mounted on the boiler. Plate type heat exchangers, we have a very wide range of plate type heat exchangers. We have almost about 48, 49 models of plates available with us. Then it's an intercooler offered to Gripco, a fertilizer company. Then we have also supplied condensers for pharmaceutical company with then a Kanpur fertilizer, we have supplied another condenser. And this is one of the acid handling system we have supplied to one of the steel industries. Then alloy condensers we have supplied to SRF in Gujarat. Then for steel industry, ammonia condensers we have supplied. This is for petrochemical industry. This is one of the heat exchangers which we have supplied it for a high pressure application in edible oil industry. Typical kettle type reboiler made in corrugated tube heat exchanger. And this is again for pharmaceutical application, the condensers. This is skid based hot water generation system. And again, this is also a heat exchanger based system, but in enclosed container. We have our head office in Pune and a factory set up in Koregaon, Bhima. This is on Pune Nagar Road, about 36 kilometers from Pune. That's all from my side. Yes.
Yeah, I'm DD Vaishnav from Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizer Company.
Okay.
TDI Dahej. We have with me my colleague Mr. NR Chauhan. Now, basically, what we would like to see, what I understood that basically pressure drop will definitely increase because of corrugation.
Yes, correct.
So, if there is margin in the pumping system, then that can be utilized with. Okay, so have you done any retrofitting?
Basically, what happens is we can design the heat exchanger as per your pressure drop requirement.
No, particularly where suppose some new exchanger is to be taken, then retrofitting case existing exchanger is a normal shell and tube exchanger, or then that is retrofitted with
We have
petrochemical plants.
we have done replacements at various places.
If you retrofit the existing exchanger 10 meters square with the plain tubes with the corrugated tubes, the definitely pressure drop will be on the higher side.
I understood instead of 10 meters square, we can go for, as we discussed, 5 meters square, right? But if such cases has been done, then references would be maybe helpful.
Yes, sir. We have many references.
Okay.
We have many references.
Of retrofitting, not fresh buying.
Yes, we are retrofitted. Also, we have many experiences where
Okay.
we have supplied the existing heat exchanger with the corrugated tubes.
Okay.
So overall heat transfer coefficient case. So the sizes, if they are using 10 meter square, so they can utilize it for 20 meter square also.
Okay,
So
that
that
I got it.
advantage you can get in terms
that-
of area also.
Okay, and second thing you mentioned about triple tube heat exchanger.
Yeah.
That's something quite interesting and new.
Basically, they are used for the heat sensitive liquid, where the heat sensitive liquid it may be a fiber content, a fruit pulp, or you can say milk or related to that, where the heat sensitivity is so much, so we have to use the two utilities into that. So it is the triple tube heat exchanger.
Okay.
So the main product is in the middle portion, and secondary end there are two different you can say that utilities over there.
Okay.
So mostly they are used for the food industries,
Okay.
not for the process industries.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
See, on the shell side also you have a corrugation pattern. So what happens is basically in case of condensation, as we explained to the animated picture. See, on the plain tube, on the plain side, what happens is your condensate droplets, they start forming and start depositing on the tube surface. Okay, then it forms a film. This film basically then opposes the heat transfer. And your heat transfer starts reducing in that case. Now, unless and until the film gains a weight, it will not drop down. And your surface for condensation will not be available, further condensation. But wherein, because of the corrugation pattern, what happens is you get a path for the condensate to drop down. So the moment the condensate droplet is formed, it flows down the tube surface, and your tube surface is always exposed for further condensation. So because of that, your heat transfer area requirement comes down to almost about 50% of what you gain in plain tube.
No, this is you are telling for the tubes. I am asking for the shell side.
On shell side, I am saying, because the corrugations are also from the outside. Outside on the tube, so which is on the shell side. Inside the tube, there are corrugation and you get a turbulence.
Correct.
Outside also there are corrugations. So whenever in condensation application, when the vapor condensate, they start depositing on the tube surface, they drop down and the outer surface of the tube is always available for further condensation. That is the advantage.
Mostly, if you see that the shell side corrugation we do to the food industries, not for the process industries. So for process industries, we do the shell into the normal. We don't do the corrugation on the shell for the food, for the chemical, pharma, edible industry. Mostly for the pulp industry, milk industry, where there is a heat sensitive material. For that case, we use the corrugation on the shell side. But for the process division, we do the corrugation on the tube side only. We do the shell plain only. That is the main difference. If you use for the process industry, shell will be on the plain only. For food industry, it will be a corrugation. Depending upon application, it may be a milk, it may be a fruit juices, it may be a pulp.
Okay. Thank you.